The great hall of Nexus Prime buzzed with the sounds of 1,000 different alien voices. Towering creatures made of living crystal stood next to insect-like beings the size of small buildings. Energy forms that looked like dancing flames floated through the air, speaking in voices that sounded like music. This was the Galactic Council, and today they were bored. Commander Vexstar adjusted his crystal body to catch the light better. He was proud of how his faceted skin sparkled in the chambers. Glow. As a Zephyrian, he believed his species was the most beautiful in the galaxy. More importantly, they were also the most powerful. Another day, another weak species begging for mercy, he said to his aide. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. General Thokmer clicked his mandibles in agreement. The massive insect creature was nearly 3 meters tall, with 6 arms and compound eyes that could see in all directions. His hive collective had conquered 47 star systems in the past century. To him, war was as natural as breathing. The reports grow more pathetic each cycle. Thokmer buzzed. These primitive species have no imagination. They send the same boring messages about peace and friendship. High above them, an Etherian named Fluxara pulsed with amused energy. The being of pure light had no solid form, but its thoughts could be felt by everyone in the room. Perhaps we should find new entertainment. The old methods of conquest have become too easy. A junior officer scuttled forward, carrying a datapad in his clawed hands. He was a Skrit, one of the smaller species that served the Council out of fear rather than loyalty. His gray skin trembled as he approached the 3 powerful commanders. "Honored ones," he squeaked, "we have received another transmission from the Outer Rim. A species calling themselves humans." Vexstar's crystal form shifted to face the small creature. "Humans? Never heard of them. Where did they come from?" "A small blue planet called Earth, sir. 3rd planet from a yellow star in what they call the Milky Way, very far from here, in the unexplored regions." Thokmer leaned down to examine the datapad. His massive head cast a shadow over the nervous Skrit. "What do these humans want?" "They request peaceful contact, sir. They say they have recently developed faster-than-light travel and wish to join the galactic community." The sound that filled the chamber could only be described as laughter, though it came from beings who had never been human. Vexstar's crystal body rang like a bell. Thokmer's clicking mandibles created a sound like chattering teeth. Fluxara's energy form pulsed with bright flashes of amusement. Faster than light travel? Vexstar's voice carried a note of disbelief. "How primitive can they be? We mastered that technology 50,000 years ago." "Show us their ships." Thokmer commanded. The Skrit's claws fumbled with the datapad before projecting a hologram into the air. The image showed a collection of small metal vessels that looked crude and simple compared to the sleek ships of the Council races. By the void, Fluxara's thoughts rippled with scorn. They use chemical rockets for propulsion. And look at those weapons, simple kinetic projectiles and primitive energy beams. Vexstar studied the hologram with growing amusement. The human ships were boxy and functional, with no regard for beauty or elegance. They looked like tools rather than works of art. "How many ships do they have?" he asked. The Skrit checked his datapad again. "Our scouts report approximately 12 vessels, sir. All of them are smaller than our standard cruisers." 12 ships? Thokmer's laughter sounded like breaking glass. "My personal fleet has more ships than their entire species possesses." "What do they know about us?" Vexstar wanted to know. "Very little, sir. They seem to believe that first contact should be handled through diplomatic channels. They have requested a meeting with what they call galactic representatives." This triggered another round of alien laughter. The 3 commanders exchanged glances that spoke of shared understanding. They had seen this pattern before. A young species reaches the stars, discovers they are not alone, and foolishly believes they can negotiate as equals. I grow tired of these peaceful first contacts. Fluxara's energy form flickered with irritation. Every new species sends the same boring messages. They want to trade, to learn, to share knowledge. Where is the challenge in that? Vex stars. Crystal body reflected the chamber's light as he turned to face his companions. Perhaps it is time we sent a different message to the galaxy. These humans could serve as an example. What do you propose? Thokmer's compound eyes fixed on the Zephyrian commander. We dispatch a fleet to this Earth, not to conquer or enslave, but to destroy. Let every species in the galaxy see what happens to those who reach beyond their place. The Skrit's gray. Skin turned even paler. Sir, if I may suggest, the humans have done nothing to provoke such action. They have only requested peaceful contact. Vexstar's crystal form flared with angry light. That is exactly the point, little servant. They have the audacity to believe they deserve peaceful contact. They think they can simply appear in our galaxy and demand recognition as equals. The arrogance is astounding, Thokmer agreed. A species that has barely left their home system believes they can sit at the same table as beings who have ruled the stars for millennia. Fluxara's energy form pulsed with dark satisfaction. Yes, let us teach them their place. Send a fleet large enough to be impressive, but not so large that the destruction lacks elegance. 30 ships, Vexstar decided. A mixed fleet from all 3 of our species. We will broadcast the battle to every world in the galaxy, so all may see what happens to upstart civilizations. And if they surrender? The Skrit asked quietly. Then we will accept their surrender. Thokmer's voice carried no mercy. Before we destroy them anyway, the lesson must be complete. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, a fleet of 30 warships would depart for Earth. The crews were told to expect no resistance. This was to be a demonstration, not a battle. Far away, on a space station orbiting Earth's moon, Captain Jake Morrison watched his instruments with growing concern. Long-range sensors had detected the approaching alien fleet, and the readings were not encouraging. Admiral Torres, he spoke into his communicator, we have a problem. Captain Jake Morrison stared at his screen in disbelief. The alien fleet was 3 days away from Earth, and his instruments showed 30 ships moving in perfect formation. Each one was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Get me Admiral Torres, he ordered his communications officer. The hologram of Admiral Lisa Torres appeared on the bridge of Luna Station. Her face was calm, but Jake could see the worry in her eyes. She had been expecting this call. How bad is it, Jake? She asked without greeting. 30 ships, Admiral. All of them are at least twice the size of our largest cruiser. They're not trying to hide their approach. In fact, they seem to want us to see them coming. Torres nodded slowly. They want to scare us into surrender. Classic intimidation tactic. Will it work? The Admiral was quiet for a moment. Get Captain Carter on the line. Tell him to prepare his squadron for immediate deployment. Within an hour, Captain Ben Carter was leading 11 Earth Defense Force ships toward the outer edge of the solar system. His destroyer was old but reliable, built back when humanity first learned to travel between stars. The crew was nervous but determined. Remember, Carter spoke to his captains over the radio, we're not trying to win this fight. We're buying time. Time for what? Asked Commander Lisa Park from her cruiser. You'll find out soon enough, Carter replied. He had been briefed on Project Titan, but most of his officers had not. The secret was too important to risk. The human fleet spread out as they approached the alien ships. Carter knew that staying in formation would make them easy targets. Instead, his ships moved in unpredictable patterns, using every asteroid and piece of space debris for cover. General Thokmer watched the human approach from his command ship. The insect creature was puzzled by their tactics. Normal species would either surrender immediately or charge forward in a desperate attack. These humans were doing neither. They scatter like frightened animals, he buzzed to his officers. No discipline, no proper formation. Should we destroy them now? Asked his second-in-command. Not yet. Let them come closer. I want to see what their primitive weapons can do. The first shots came from Carter's destroyer. Bright beams of energy lanced across space, striking the shields of an alien cruiser. The ship's barriers flared with light, but held firm. Their weapons are weak, Thokmer observed. As expected, from such a primitive species. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of continuing their attack on the same target, the human ships split up and began hitting different alien vessels from multiple directions. They moved fast, striking and then disappearing behind cover before the aliens could return fire. What are they doing? Thokmer's compound eyes tracked the chaotic battle. This is not how civilized species conduct warfare. Commander Vexstar, commanding a Zephyrian crystal ship, was having similar problems. His tactical computers were designed to fight against organized fleets with predictable movements. The humans kept changing direction, speed, and targets without any apparent pattern. They fight like mad creatures, he complained over the fleet. Communication channel. There is no logic to their actions. Perhaps that is the point. Fluxara's energy form pulsed with annoyance from another ship. They cannot match our firepower, so they resort to chaos. The battle continued for 2 hours. The human ships darted in and out of the alien formation, their weapons pecking away at shields and armor. They lost 2 ships in the process, but they also managed to damage several alien vessels. Most importantly, they were learning. Every attack taught them something new about alien technology and tactics. Captain Carter made careful notes about shield frequencies and weapon recharge times. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, something massive was stirring. The Hadal Base had been humanity's greatest secret for 10 years. Built in the deepest ocean trench, it housed a construction project that had consumed more resources than any other human endeavor. Admiral Kate Reynolds stood on the bridge of the USS Leviathan as the enormous ship rose through the dark waters. Around her, 2,000 crew members worked at their stations. These were the best people humanity had to offer: scientists, engineers, soldiers, and explorers from every nation on Earth. Depth at 5,000 meters and rising, reported Navigation Officer Amy Foster. Her instruments showed clear water above them, all the way to the surface. How are the engines, Ryan? Reynolds asked. Chief Engineer Ryan Blake checked his displays. The exotic power systems were operating perfectly. At the heart of the ship, a controlled black hole provided more energy than a small star. All systems green, Admiral. The Singularity core is stable, and the weapon systems are fully charged. Reynolds nodded. She had trained for this moment for 5 years. The ship was her responsibility, but more than that, it was humanity's hope. Take US to the surface, she ordered. The Leviathan broke through the ocean's surface like a breaching whale. But this whale was over 1 kilometer long and bristled with weapons that no alien species had ever seen. Water streamed from its dark hull as it rose into the sky, its engines burning with the light of contained stars in space. The alien fleet was growing frustrated with the hit-and-run tactics of the human defenders. They had managed to destroy 4 more human ships, but the remaining vessels continued their annoying attacks. And this, Thokmer commanded. I grow tired of these games. Destroy them all and proceed to their home world. But then the sensors of every alien ship began screaming warnings. Something massive was approaching from Earth, something that radiated more energy than anything they had ever encountered. What is that? Vextar's crystal form flickered with confusion as he stared at it. His instruments. The energy signature was unlike anything in their databases. It was huge, powerful, and completely unknown. It must be some kind of industrial accident, Fluxara suggested. Perhaps their primitive reactors have overloaded. General Thokmer was not so sure. His military instincts were telling him that something was very wrong. All ships prepare for... He never finished the sentence. The USS Leviathan emerged from Earth's shadow like an avenging angel, its weapons already trained on the alien fleet. The silence that followed was deafening. Every alien ship in the fleet stopped what it was doing to stare at the massive object that had appeared from behind Earth. The USS Leviathan hung in space like a dark mountain, its hull reflecting the light of distant stars. General Thokmer's compound eyes tried to process what he was seeing. The ship was enormous, larger than anything his species had ever built. Its surface was covered with weapon ports and sensor arrays that seemed to shift and move as he watched. "What is that thing?" he whispered. Commander Vextar's crystal body had gone completely transparent with shock. His tactical computers were running calculations, but the numbers made no sense. The energy readings from the human ship were impossible. "It cannot be real," he said to his officers. "No primitive species could build something like that." Fluxara's energy form flickered with confusion and fear. The Etherian had spent centuries studying the technology of every known species. Nothing in the galactic databases matched what they were seeing. The power signature is off the charts. Fluxara's thoughts reached the other commanders. They appear to be using some kind of contained singularity as a power source. Impossible. Thokmer clicked his mandibles. Even we do not have that technology. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Admiral Reynolds watched the alien fleet through the main viewer. She could see the confusion in their movements as they tried to decide what to do. Some ships were backing away, while others were moving forward. To get a better look, "Captain Murphy, are all weapons ready?" she asked. Captain Steve Murphy checked his tactical display. The ship's main guns were charged and ready to fire. The missile tubes were loaded with their most advanced warheads. The point defense systems were tracking every alien ship in the area. "All systems ready, Admiral. We have target locks on every enemy vessel." "Very good. Open a channel to the alien fleet." The communication officer nodded. "Channel open, Admiral." Reynolds stood up from her command chair. She was a small woman, but her voice carried the authority of someone who had never backed down from a fight. "Alien vessels. This is Admiral Kate Reynolds of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system without permission and attacked our ships. You will leave immediately, or we will destroy you." The message was broadcast on all frequencies. Every alien ship in the fleet received it, along with every other vessel within 100 light years. The translation programs worked overtime to convert the human words into languages that the aliens could understand. General Thokmer was the first to respond. His voice crackled with anger and disbelief. "You dare threaten us? We are the masters of this galaxy. Your pathetic species has barely learned to leave its home world." "Your species is nothing," Commander Vextar added. "We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We will add yours to the list." Admiral Reynolds smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "You are welcome to try." She turned to Captain Murphy. "Fire." The USS Leviathan's main guns opened fire simultaneously. Streams of superheated plasma shot across space, moving at nearly the speed of light. The alien ships had no time to react or dodge. 3 Zephyrian cruisers disappeared in balls of white-hot fire. Their crystal hulls, which had been designed to withstand conventional weapons, melted like ice in a furnace. The explosions were so bright that they could be seen from Earth. The remaining alien ships scattered in panic. Nothing in their experience had prepared them for weapons of such power. Their shields, which had easily deflected the attacks from the smaller human ships, were useless against the Leviathan's guns. Impossible. Thokmer's voice was high with fear. Those ships had full shields, evasive maneuvers. Vexstar ordered his remaining vessels, "Do not let it target you." But the Leviathan was designed for exactly this kind of battle. Its hull could rotate in sections, allowing it to bring weapons to bear in any direction. As the alien ships tried to surround it, the massive human vessel spun slowly on its axis, its guns tracking every target. The missile tubes opened next. Hundreds of smart warheads shot out from the Leviathan's hull, each one guided by its own artificial intelligence. The missiles moved in complex patterns, avoiding the alien point defense systems and striking their targets with pinpoint accuracy. 2. Hive collective destroyers were torn apart by the explosions. Their insect-like crews never knew what hit them. The warheads were designed to penetrate armor and explode inside the ship, causing maximum damage. How is this possible? Fluxara S-Energy form was flickering with terror. They are using technologies we have never seen before. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Commander Nina Ross was coordinating the fighter attack. The ship's launch bays opened, and dozens of small craft shot out into space. These were not the crude vessels the aliens had seen before, but sleek fighters, equipped with the same advanced technology as the battleship. "Gold Squadron, target the command ships," Ross ordered. "Silver Squadron, take out their weapons systems." The human pilots moved with a precision that amazed the alien observers. They flew in 3 dimensions, using the full volume of space to their advantage. Their attacks were coordinated and devastating. Captain Ben Carter, still alive in his damaged destroyer, watched the battle with growing amazement. The Leviathan was doing something he had thought impossible. It was winning against impossible odds. "All remaining Earthships, form up on the Leviathan," he ordered. "Let's finish this." General Thokmer tried to organize a counterattack, but his fleet was in chaos. Half of his ships were destroyed or badly damaged. The others were scattered and afraid. "All ships, concentrate fire on the large vessel," he commanded. "Ignore the smaller craft." The alien ships tried to follow his orders, but the Leviathan's point defense systems were too good. Streams of energy and clouds of projectiles created a barrier around the human battleship that nothing could penetrate. Meanwhile, the Leviathan's main guns continued to fire. Each shot destroyed or crippled an alien vessel. The human ship seemed to have unlimited ammunition and power. "We need reinforcements." Vexstar's voice was desperate. "Send word to the home fleets. Tell them we are facing a threat unlike anything we have encountered." But even as he spoke, another alien cruiser exploded under the Leviathan's fire. The human ship was methodically destroying the alien fleet, one vessel at a time. Admiral Reynolds watched the battle with grim satisfaction. Humanity had been underestimated for the last time. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's children were not helpless prey. "Continue firing," she ordered. "Show them what happens when they threaten our world." The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On 1,000 different worlds, alien beings stared at their communication screens in disbelief. The impossible had happened. A galactic council fleet had been destroyed by a single ship from a primitive species. On the crystal world of Zephyr Prime, the ruling council gathered in emergency session. Their transparent bodies flickered with fear and confusion as they watched the battle recordings over and over again. "This must be some kind of trick," insisted High Commander Zex Raw. "No primitive species could build such a weapon." "The energy readings do not lie," replied his science advisor. "That human ship is powered by a controlled black hole. We have been trying to achieve such technology for 50,000 years. In the hive cities of Collective Prime, the Queen Mother's 1,000 advisors buzzed with panic. The giant insect ruler had never seen her military commanders so frightened. "How many ships did we lose?" she demanded. 27 destroyed, 3 badly damaged, reported General Clichter. Only 3 ships escaped with minor damage. Out of 30 ships? The Queen Mother's voice rose to a shriek that could be heard throughout the hive. "How is this possible? The humans fight differently than any species we have encountered," Clichter explained. "Their weapons are more powerful than our shields can handle. Their tactics are unpredictable and creative." On the energy world of Flux, the Etherian collective pulsed with waves of concern. These beings of pure thought had believed themselves to be the most advanced species in the galaxy. Now they were not so sure. "We must analyze their technology," urged Science Form Luxara. "If we can understand how they built such weapons, we can defend against them. Or build our own," added Warform Hexara. "These humans may have given us the key to greater power." But it was not just the major powers they were watching. On hundreds of smaller worlds, species that had lived under alien rule for centuries began to whisper among themselves. The Galactic Council had always seemed unstoppable. Now, for the first time, someone had proven them wrong. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, the slave workers of the Draknari Republic gathered in secret. Their gray skin was marked with the scars of hard labor, but their eyes shone with something that had been missing for generations. Hope. "Is it true?" asked an old worker named Veltar. "Did the humans really destroy a council fleet?" "I saw the recordings myself," replied his younger companion. 1 ship against 30, and the humans 1. "Perhaps the council is not as strong as they pretend," suggested another worker. "Perhaps it is time for us to stop being afraid." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Species that had been crushed under the weight of alien oppression began to dream of freedom. The name human was spoken with growing respect and admiration. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, Admiral Reynolds stood on the bridge of the Leviathan and addressed the handful of surviving alien ships. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of absolute authority. "This is your final warning," she said. "Leave our space immediately, or join your friends in the void." General Thokmer, commanding one of the few undamaged alien vessels, felt his pride warring with his survival instincts. His species had never retreated from a battle, but they had also never faced anything like the human battleship. "You have won this engagement," he transmitted back. "But the Galactic Council commands fleets of thousands of ships. We will return with enough firepower to turn your world to ash." Admiral Reynolds smiled. "You are welcome to try. But first, you need to deliver a message for me." "What message?" "Tell your masters that humanity offers peace to those who want it. But we will show no mercy to those who threaten us or our friends. The age of council dominance is over." The alien ships began to retreat, their captains eager to escape before the human weapons fired again. As they jumped to faster-than-light speed, they carried with them the most important news in galactic history. Captain Dan Pierce monitored their departure from his position aboard the Leviathan. As Earth's chief intelligence officer, he was already intercepting alien communications from across the galaxy. "Admiral, you need to hear this," he said, routing the intercepted messages to the bridge speakers. The voices of alien commanders filled the air, speaking in dozens of different languages. The translation computers worked overtime to convert their words into English. Request immediate reinforcements. Unprecedented threat. Impossible technology. Never seen anything like it. "They're scared," observed Captain Murphy with satisfaction. "Good," replied Admiral Reynolds. "Fear will make them think twice before attacking another innocent world." Dr. Helen Clark, the ship's chief scientist, was already analyzing the debris from the destroyed alien vessels. Her team had collected samples of their armor, weapons, and computer systems. "Admiral, we're learning a lot from their technology," she reported. "Some of their defensive systems are actually quite advanced. We can adapt them to improve our own ships. How long until we can upgrade the fleet?" "Give me 6 months, and I can make our next ships twice as powerful as the Leviathan." Reynolds nodded approvingly. Humanity would need every advantage they could get. The surviving aliens would return with reinforcements, and Earth needed to be ready, on the outer edges of the galaxy. Captain Mike Thompson was overseeing the construction of humanity's second battleship. The USS Sovereign was taking shape in the orbital shipyards around Mars, using the lessons learned from building the Leviathan. "How long until she's ready for combat?" Admiral Torres asked during her inspection tour. 3 months for basic completion. 6 months for full weapon systems," Thompson replied. "The new armor plating is 30% stronger than the Leviathans, and the weapons are more efficient. We'll need at least 5 ships like this to defend our territory properly," Torres mused. "The shipyards are already working on the 3rd and 4th hulls. At this rate, we'll have a full fleet within 2 years." Back on Earth, the world's leaders gathered in emergency session. The alien threat had united humanity like nothing before. Old enemies worked together, sharing resources and technology for the common defense. "The aliens will return," warned President Sarah Walsh of the United Americas. "We need to be ready for them. Our intelligence suggests they're already gathering fleets from across the galaxy," added Prime Minister Chun Wei of the Asian Federation. "They won't underestimate us again." "Then we'll show them that Earth's children are not easy prey," declared Chancellor Maria Santos of the European Union. "Humanity has always been at its best when facing impossible odds." Above them, the Leviathan continued its patrol of the solar system. The ship had become a symbol of human strength and defiance. Its crew knew that they carried the hopes and dreams of their entire species. Admiral Reynolds stood at the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were gathering for another attack. But humanity was no longer the frightened species that had sent peaceful messages to the galaxy. The galaxy had awakened a sleeping giant, and now they would face the consequences of their arrogance. 6 months had passed since the battle that shook the galaxy. The news had traveled to every corner of known space, and the consequences were beyond what anyone had imagined. On dozens of worlds, revolution was spreading like wildfire. The Draknari Republic faced slave uprisings on 17 different planets. The workers who had toiled in the mines for generations now fought with weapons they had built in secret. They wore crude symbols painted on their clothes, a circle with a blue dot in the center, representing the small blue world called Earth. "The humans showed us that the mighty can fall," declared Veltar as he led his fellow workers in battle. "If they can defeat the Council fleets, we can defeat our masters." The Galactic Council was falling apart. 3 member species had already withdrawn, claiming they needed to defend their own territories. The truth was simpler. They were afraid that association with the Council would make them targets for human anger, but not everyone was retreating. The remaining Council powers had spent 6 months gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Over 300 ships from a dozen species were now approaching the Sol system. Leading them was Supreme Commander Thokmer, promoted after his survival of the first battle. "This time will be different," he told his officers. "We have overwhelming numbers, and we know what to expect." The Zephyrians had brought their newest crystal dreadnoughts, ships twice the size of their previous vessels. The Etherians had assembled a war fleet of pure energy beings that could phase through solid matter. Other species had contributed their most advanced weapons and shields. "The humans have 1 ship," stated Commander Vextar from his crystal bridge. "We have 300. The mathematics are simple. But humanity had not been idle during those 6 months. Commander Paul Wright stood on the command deck of the orbital defense platform Guardian 1. Around Earth, a ring of 12 such stations had been built, each one armed with weapons nearly as powerful as those on the Leviathan. "All stations report ready," he announced to Admiral Torres on Earth. "Acknowledged, Paul. Remember, let them. Come close before you open fire. We want them to think we're only depending on the surface defenses." In space beyond the moon, 4 massive ships waited in formation. The USS Leviathan was no longer alone. The USS Sovereign hung beside it, along with the newly completed USS Defiant and USS Liberty. Each ship represented humanity's growing mastery of advanced technology. Admiral Reynolds commanded the small fleet from the Leviathan's bridge. Her crew had trained for this moment for months. They knew that this battle would decide humanity's place in the galaxy forever. "Enemy fleet detected at the edge of the system," reported Captain Murphy. "Estimated arrival in 4 hours." "Very well. All ships, prepare for battle. This is what we trained for." Dr. Helen Clark had spent the past months improving human technology using captured alien systems. The new ships were faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than the Leviathan had been during the first battle. "The new plasma cannons are fully charged," she reported. "The improved shields should be able to withstand their combined firepower for at least 30 minutes. Let's hope we don't need that long," Reynolds replied. As the alien fleet approached Earth, they were confident in their victory. 300 ships against 4 seemed like impossible odds for the humans to overcome. "Deploy in attack formation," ordered Supreme Commander Thokmer. "Surround their ships and destroy them quickly. Then we will finish their home world." But the aliens had made a mistake. They had studied the first battle and prepared for the tactics they had seen before. They expected the humans to fight the same way again. Admiral Reynolds had other ideas. "All ships, implement Plan Omega," she commanded. The 4 human battleships suddenly scattered in different directions. Instead of staying together to fight as a group, they spread out across the solar system. Each ship moved toward a different part of the alien fleet. "What are they doing?" wondered Commander Vexstar. "They are dividing their forces. This makes no tactical sense." Supreme Commander Thokmer was equally confused. "It does not matter. We will destroy them one at a time." The alien fleet split into 4 groups to pursue the human ships. Each group had about 75 vessels, still overwhelming odds against a single human battleship. That was when the trap was sprung. "All defense platforms open fire," commanded Paul Wright. The 12 orbital stations around Earth suddenly blazed with weapons fire. Streams of plasma and swarms of missiles shot out toward the alien ships. The aliens had been so focused on chasing the human battleships that they had ignored the defenses around Earth itself. 8 alien ships exploded in the first salvo. The surprise was complete. "Impossible," screamed Thokmer. "Where did those weapons come from?" But the human battleships were not running away. They were leading the alien groups into carefully planned ambush positions. As each group of aliens pursued a human ship, they found themselves caught between the battleship they were chasing and hidden weapon platforms that the USS Sovereign led. Its pursuers through an asteroid field where humanity had hidden dozens of missile launchers. The rocks themselves seemed to come alive with weapons fire as the aliens found themselves under attack from all directions. Captain Thompson smiled as he watched alien ships explode around his vessel. "Welcome to our neighborhood," he said. The USS Defiant used a different tactic. Captain Amy Foster led her group of aliens close to Jupiter, where the massive planet's gravity interfered with their sensors. Hidden in the gas giant's rings were automated defense drones that swarmed the alien ships like angry insects. The USS Liberty took its pursuers on a chase through the outer solar system, where Captain Ryan Blake had positioned minefields and weapon satellites. The aliens found themselves running a deadly obstacle course while under constant fire from the human battleship. But it was the Leviathan that provided the greatest shock. Admiral Reynolds led her group of alien ships directly toward Earth, making it look like she was retreating to the home world for protection. The aliens followed eagerly, thinking they had finally cornered the flagship of the human fleet. They were so focused on their target that they did not notice the trap until it was too late. "All ships, converge on my position," Reynolds ordered. The other 3 human battleships suddenly changed course, racing toward Earth at maximum speed. The alien groups that had been chasing them were left behind, confused and scattered dot. As the Leviathan approached Earth, it was joined by its sister ships. 4 human battleships flying in perfect formation toward the largest group of alien vessels. "Impossible," whispered Vextar. They planned this entire engagement. The 4 human ships opened fire simultaneously. Their combined firepower was devastating. The aliens had spread out to chase individual ships, but now they were facing the full might of humanity's fleet, concentrated in one place. The battle that followed was not the easy victory the aliens had expected. Human weapons, improved with 6 months of research and development, tore through alien shields like they were made of paper. The orbital defense platforms continued to fire from their positions around Earth, creating a crossfire that caught the aliens from multiple directions. Within 2 hours, over half the alien fleet was destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The survivors found themselves scattered and demoralized, facing an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Supreme Commander Thokmer stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The greatest fleet in galactic history was being systematically destroyed by 4 ships and a handful of defense platforms. "All ships, retreat," he finally ordered. Full withdrawal to the edge of the system. But Admiral Reynolds was not finished. "All ships, pursue the enemy. Let none escape to spread lies about this battle." The human fleet chased the retreating aliens across the solar system. When the last alien ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, only 37 vessels remained out of the original 300. The news of the second battle spread even faster than the first. The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity defeated impossible odds once again. This time, there could be no doubt about the outcome. Within days, diplomatic messages began arriving at Earth from across the galaxy. Species that had never contacted humanity before sent offers of alliance and trade agreements. Even some former council members requested peace negotiations. The age of galactic council dominance was over. A new power had risen from a small blue world in the outer rim, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Reynolds stood on the observation deck of the Leviathan, looking out at the stars. Her ship bore the scars of battle, but it had survived. More importantly, humanity had survived. Galaxy had learned that sometimes the most dangerous species was the one you underestimated. Earth's children were no longer alone in the universe, but they were no longer helpless either. They had shown the galaxy what humans could do when pushed too far. And the galaxy had finally understood dread.